Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I will be reading from the AITA Pro Advice subreddit, so let's jump into it. At our college group project, they took credit for my entire work. I wrote an essay for a group project in college, and now they're taking credit for it. It was our first year of university. The course had 12 students, and we were divided into 3 groups of 4. Our final grade would be based on a 3,000-word essay, with half the class getting an automatic C and the other half getting an A, if their essay was deemed good enough. I ended up in a group with 3 girls. Throughout the semester, each group had to submit 2 sections of the essay, totaling 1,500 words. This counted for 40% of our overall grade. Each section was marked out of 70. The first round of submissions had 1 girl from each group write the first 500 words, while the others wrote the second 1,000. Our group decided we'd have the girl who got the highest mark in the class write the first 500 words of our first section, and the other 2 would write the last 1,000. This girl got a 67 out of 70 on her 500 words, and our combined grade for that section was 189 out of 210. That was more than enough to get us an A. So we submitted all 3 parts of our essay about a week before the deadline. About 2 days later, our teacher tells us that she liked our essay, and since we did so well on the first section, she wanted the rest of the class to read our essay and use it as a template. She printed out our work and handed it out to every other student in the class. At this point, I didn't think much of it. I was just happy that our work was good enough to be used as a template. However, the next day in class, the teacher announces that due to how well our essay was written, she's bumped our essay grade to 21 out of 21. That made me really happy, until she said that because we did so well, the other groups are expected to match our quality. If they can't, then they'll get a lower grade. She specifically told the other 2 groups that they should look at what this group did right to make sure they get an A. After class, the other 2 girls in my group looked pissed. They started saying things like, "What? Why does she do this? And she's playing favorites." I tried to tell them that it wasn't my fault and that the teacher said that she liked our essay and wanted the other students to use it as a template. But the girl whose turn it was to write the first 500 words of our essay next week wasn't having it. She said that she would rather fail the class than let that girl take credit for her work. I told her that she didn't have to write the first 500 words and that we could switch, but she insisted on keeping it. I sighed and dropped it. For the next few weeks, I worked on the second section of the essay. The other 2 girls barely put in any effort. They each only wrote about half of their parts and left it at that. I told them that we needed to finish our parts of the essay as soon as possible so that we could edit them together, but they just ignored me. When they were finished with their parts, I added them to mine and then spent several hours editing it to make it sound as cohesive as possible. I didn't want to leave our grade up to those 2, so I completed my part of the essay a full week before the deadline. One of the girls said something along the lines of, "Oh, come on, you don't have to finish so early." But I just ignored her. I printed off a copy and handed it to our teacher when she asked for them. She told me that she'd read through it and return it to me by the end of the week. A couple of days later, she called me into her office to tell me that our essay was very good, but she had some concerns. She told me that she'd noticed that our writing styles were quite different, and she was worried that we hadn't split the work up evenly. I told her that we had, and that we each wrote the parts that were assigned to us, but she didn't seem convinced. I shrugged it off and went back to class. I asked the other girls if they had heard anything from the teacher, and they said no. I told them that the teacher had called me into her office, but they just rolled their eyes and walked away. On the day the essays were due, our teacher returned the marked-up copies to me, and I saw that she had given me a 70 out of 70 for my part, and the other 2 girls each got a 50 out of 70 for their parts. She wrote comments on the margins of my paper, saying things like, "This is the best part," or "Great work." Then on the pages where the other girls wrote, she wrote, "Needs more work and not as strong as the other parts." She gave us our grades and sent us out of the classroom to give us time to sort it out. I went over to the other two girls and told them what our teacher had said. They both argued that we had split the work evenly and that it was our turn to write the first 500 words of the next section. I told them that it wasn't my fault and that we had already agreed that whoever had the highest mark would write the first 500 words and that they could switch with me if they wanted. They both refused and told me that they weren't going to change their grade. I thought that maybe they wanted me to talk to the teacher, so I went to her office and told her that the girls said that they weren't going to change their grade. She said that she had spoken to them and that they had admitted to not doing as much work as they should have. I told her that I was willing to write the first 500 words again, but she wouldn't let me. She said that she valued effort and that she couldn't reward us with a better grade when she knew that 2 of the 4 members didn't put in the same effort as the other 2. She told me that she'd give us a B as a group and that she expected us to meet with her during office hours so that we could discuss what happened. When I told the other 2 girls that we had gotten a B instead of an A, they finally admitted that they had been lazy and that they were sorry. They asked me if I would talk to the teacher and ask her to bump us up to an A. I told them that I couldn't because she had made it clear that she wouldn't change our grade unless all 4 of us were willing to accept it. They sighed and said that they understood. I still felt bad because I knew that I had probably saved them from getting a lower grade. I really liked those girls and I didn't want them to fail. So I went back to our teacher's office and told her that I would drop down to a B so that they could get an A. She told me that she appreciated the gesture, but she couldn't go against her own rules. She told me that if I wanted to learn how to stand up for myself, I shouldn't let other people walk over me. She told me that she understood that I probably didn't want to jeopardize our friendship, but that I had to realize that they had hurt me as much as they had hurt themselves. She said that the best thing I could do for them was to stop letting them take advantage of me. After that conversation, I became a lot less agreeable. I stopped letting them get away with little things. Every time they asked me to do something for them, I asked them to do something for me in return. It got to the point where we just stopped working together altogether. We ended up graduating and going our separate ways. So, yeah, OP is absolutely right. The best thing that he could do for himself was to stop letting his friends take advantage of him. OP couldn't have possibly known that they would try to take credit for his work. But it's important that OP learn to stop being so agreeable, because sometimes people will try to take advantage of your willingness to help others. The teacher also seemed pretty fair. She didn't punish OP for his friend's actions, but she also didn't give in to their demands. Anyways, that is all for me today. I hope you enjoyed that pro advice story. If you did, please leave a like. I truly appreciate when you do, and I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye.